Many people dream about studying abroad, and the first countries that come to mind are the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, Ireland, and New Zealand. But what about France? Maybe France was presented as an option to you. Here are some harsh realities that you need to know about moving to France before you even think about packing your bags. Here's something I wish someone told me earlier. A bachelor's degree in France is pretty much useless, especially if you are in engineering. Why? Because if you look at job postings in France, many companies' listings for internships, apprenticeships, and full-time jobs are asking for Bac plus 5. Bac means baccalaureate, which is French high school. The equivalent may be A levels, 12 standard, STPM, or whatever other high school equivalent there is, plus 5 years of university education. Now, in France, 5 years of engineering education is a master's degree. Well, for me, I'm doing a double master's.
I don't want peace. I want problems always.
So, whilst in countries like the US or India or even the UK, you may be able to land a job right after you finish your bachelor's degree. But in France, the best you can usually get is an internship for a short while. If your plan is to work in France, then please be prepared to get a master's degree. It is not optional. Many people come to France for their master's degree, but France is also an option to study your bachelor's in English. But just know, once you finish that bachelor's degree, it is best that you go on and get your master's if your plan is to stay in France and continue and look for work. So you may be thinking that 5 years of education in France for a master's degree just to get an entry-level job over here may seem like a lot. The truth about this can be a double-edged sword. Let's start with the pro first. France protects workers with very strong laws. So if you get the most commonly issued contract, which is a permanent contract, CDI, you are very secure in terms of your job. Far more in countries like the United States, where you could just wake up one day, get laid off, and then your visa status would be in jeopardy. So employers can't fire you just like that in France. But that security does come with a bit of a downside. Companies are then very cautious about who they hire. So they want candidates with advanced degrees, French language skills, and often prior internships. So is it common for graduates to get this? Statistically, yes. Most graduates eventually land a CDI, especially after an end of studies internship. But know that it is not guaranteed. Just because you do an end of studies internship at a company, it does not mean that you are guaranteed to get a permanent contract, especially for international students who require visa sponsorship. Some graduates may start out with a CDD, contrat à durée déterminée, which means determined duration contract, or some sort of probation before the employer may potentially offer them a CDI. France is famous for wine, for food, but it's also famous for paperwork. Lots and lots of paperwork.
Wazowski, you didn't file your paperwork last night.
Oh, that darn paperwork. Wouldn't it be easier if it all just blew away?
From your first visa to your residence permits to health insurance, housing subsidies, it feels like there is a form for every single thing that you have to do in France. And honestly, it is overwhelming at first. But the harsh truth is that you have to go through all of this. You have to fill in all of this paperwork. And you need to figure out yourself, because this place is not really like Asia where you can just pay an agency to do your paperwork. And even if there is an agency to do such things in France, it's definitely going to rinse your wallet. So you're better off just learning the process, doing things meticulously, and doing everything yourself. Yes, it's stressful, it's slow, and sometimes things may just get delayed for no reason. If you're not patient and productive, French bureaucracy will eat you alive. Cost of living in France, especially if you're going to be living in Paris. Personally, I did not live in Paris. I lived in Lyon, which is still a big city, but it's nowhere near as expensive as Paris. Tuition fees are definitely a lot lower in France than they are in many other countries. Even private institutions, which are considered very expensive in France, but still are a fraction of the cost of what you may pay in the big six. But the hidden cost is living here. Rent, transport, groceries, These things add up fast, especially if you will be living in Paris, because it's a lot more expensive over there. Even in cities smaller than Paris, like Lyon, things may be cheaper, it may be calmer, but it's still not cheap, especially for us Asians, where the currency exchange hits us hard. The good thing is you can apply for housing subsidies like CAF, which helps a lot, but you'll still need very careful budgeting. Many students underestimate this and then end up spending beyond their means, so it's very important that you watch your finances whilst you are in France. And now, of course, here's the number one harsh reality that I believe every single person on this platform will tell you. Every single YouTube video has this point. Learn French. Please learn how to speak French if you do not know it already. Yes, you may be able to survive in English and maybe very minimal French, but the reality will hit later on when you are trying to find internships or maybe even a part-time job or a full-time job. The reality is you need to learn French to survive in France long term. France has many English taught programs, so you can still study comfortably in your language of preference. But outside your classroom, everything is going to be in French, especially if you are not going to be living in Paris. From bank forms to doctor's appointments, even to buy a SIM card, you're going to need French. If you don't make the effort to learn French, you'll struggle, even with the basics of daily life sometimes. And most importantly, without French, finding a part-time job or an internship becomes 10 times harder. Studying in France is still full of opportunities, but it's also full of challenges. It's important that you go in knowing many of these harsh realities, plan to work your way around it, and you'll definitely make the most of it. So if this video brought you value, let me know in the comments, and if you are considering moving to France, let me know if there are certain types of videos that you would like me to make, especially if it is about moving to France at a young age for your studies right after high school.